Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Welcome back to the Sparkability Virtual Summit. I'm Patch Dulay, the founder and CEO of the Spark Project, and your host and moderator for today. We are down to our last session for this summit. Can't you believe it? Okay, so before we start, we will have some time for Q&A later. So if you have any questions or insights that you'd like to share, please do so by leaving a comment on our discussion box below. And just like our previous session, we also have a worksheet available to supplement your learning for this afternoon. You can download that at sparkability.org. Do so if you haven't yet. So, for this session, in the time of COVID, it is impossible for us not to consider a more digital way of going about our business. Enterprises now are being forced to go digital and explore e commerce. Our speaker for this afternoon, for this session, is James Fernando. He will help us understand better how we can use e commerce in our sales strategy. So James is a friend of mine. He has been an e-commerce operator for 5 years. He is the founder of Shirtly Global Incorporated, or also known as Shirtly, an online marketplace that helps local content creators and artists sell their merchandise online. In 2016, he led the company's fundraising efforts and raised money from a venture capital firm based in Sydney, Australia. He is also the co-founder of Panaderia.ph, a Manila-based online bakery created during the COVID-19 ECQ. He's most fond of running paid social advertising, e-commerce marketing, and e-commerce business creation. He also helps other local businesses run ads and create e-commerce stores on the site. So without further ado, let's all welcome James Fernando.
No, good afternoon. I'm James Fernando. I'm an e-commerce operator. And today I'm going to discuss maximizing e-commerce in your sales strategy. But before doing that, here's a quick background about myself. Um, so I've been a t-shirt seller since 2010. I started when I was graduating in high school. So it was an economics project. And, we sold a lot of shirts. And when I entered college, I sold hoodies and shirts during university fairs, and it eventually became a business. And we were selling lots of shirts during UAP games, in MOA Arena and Araneta Coliseum. And I experienced the whole process of, being a traditional T-shirt seller, and it involves all the hassle of creating a traditional t-shirt store from scratch, like going to Divisoria to buy shirts, commuting, bringing all those shirts, meeting up with customers, getting payments from, say, M. Louvillier. Um, so when I graduated college, I realized that there was a problem for fellow t-shirt sellers that I could solve. And so that's the reason why I created Shirtly. So Shirtly is an e-commerce platform that helps local content creators sell merch from scratch. So we take care of everything, all the dirty work from production to delivery. All they need to do is just to upload their designs online. And we've done a pretty good job so far. So we started in 2014, and in 2016, when we gained some traction, we were able to raise money from a venture capital firm based in Australia, and that helped us a lot to further grow. And in 2017, we built a network of delivery riders for Metro Manila and nearby provinces. In 2019, we sold 101,000 pieces of apparel online, purely on our own e-commerce stores, and it has been our best-selling year so far. No, last year was our best-selling year so far. 2020 is rough. So what I'm most proud of is that we've become a passive income channel for the partners that we work with. And yeah, we work with, I think, more than 50 local content creators at the moment who are active on Facebook, social media. They get a lot of engagement. I think you know some of them. Visit your feed to find out. So this is our marketplace. As you can see, there's a lot going on, but these are all basically apparel. We also have tote bags. We also have hoodies. You can check out the collaborations tab to see who we're working with. All right, so um, everyone, of course, everyone's affected by this pandemic. And uh, in March 15, I think we had to close down temporarily because we're basically selling non-essential items, and it was a big hit to our company because everything was very uncertain. Aside from temporary closing down, we didn't really know if people would actually continue buying shirts online when the situation is very, a bit desperate. No, really desperate already for many people. And yeah, I together with my partner, we basically had to think of other ways to be able to, you know, survive as a company and, to pay our bills also. And one of the things that we did was create a new online business called panaderia.ph. So panaderia.ph is an online bakery. Um, my family, my brother has been in the food business, bread making business for almost 20 years already. And we decided to partner up with them. Um, and we have a complete team. So I'm in charge of digital marketing and the web store. My partner, Adriel Porte, she's in charge with operations and supply chain deliveries. My brother, he's in charge with supplies and dispatching. And my sister-in-law, she's in charge of baking, right, and management of our bakers. So yeah, we have a complete team, and I am very thankful for that. What I'm saying is that the partnerships that we have during a crisis like this is very important. I'm going to discuss that later. So um, our current state is that Shirtley is operational. We launched our ads when MECQ was implemented, and to my surprise, people are actually willing to buy online. Our ROAS, our return on ad spend, is actually same as our return on ad spend last December. So that was really good to know. But since we're only like a week into it, we are not yet sure if this will continue in the next months. So the next months will be very crucial for the survival of the company. Um, Panaderia PH is doing good. Food businesses are doing good at the moment. So we're maxing our capacity, and we're trying to increase it slowly every week. And personally, I'm also offering my Facebook ad services as an e-commerce operator. I already have one client, um, and I might have another one coming this month or next month. So before I begin, I'm gonna say that I'm not a social media expert. Social media expert meaning I'm not one of those YouTubers who are selling courses or selling um, a bit sketchy, get rich quick schemes online. I'm just an e-commerce operator. I'm just a business owner who wants to share, I think, my experiences with e-commerce to you guys. So, yeah. So this is about maximizing e-commerce in your sales strategy, and my goal is to give you a new sales lever. So there's this saying called "sales solve everything" in startups, And that's there's a lot of truth in that because having sales solves a lot of problems. Like if you have, let's say, you have inventory problems, you're stuck with a lot of inventory. Having sales solves that, and there's a lot more. And there are different levers that you can take advantage of in selling using e-commerce, and I'm going to give you a quick deep dive on one of them later. So during my last webinar about e-commerce also with the Spark project, the one of the main questions was what's the difference between selling on big marketplaces and doing it DIY, so direct to customer. Um, so well, big marketplaces also for food also include Food Panda and Grab. And the question is, which one should you choose? So first of all, it's not the correct question to ask, and let me explain that later. So what are the advantages of selling on big marketplaces? Well, the top advantage is that everything is already set. You don't need to look for a shipping partner anymore. Looking for a shipping partner can be really tough. We had a lot. Well, we have a couple of cash and delivery horror stories. And with Lazada, you know that they're gonna remit your money, so you would avoid those problems. For payment methods, there's like bank transfers, cash and delivery, credit card. It's already there. It's set. But if you're going to set up your own store, you would have to get a Dragon Pay account. I think it's 30 plus K. Although it's super worth it, you might have to work with PayMongo, Gcash, um, PayMaya for one. Uh, is another payment method. So the store is also there. The store of Lazada for sure is already optimized to convert. Um, and they already have an app that's already in the pockets of like for sure millions of people in the Philippines. And the dashboard is easy to use. That's connected with everything and traffic. If you're able to win on Lazada and Shopee, you would get a lot of traffic. And I will discuss that later. The disadvantage of selling only on big marketplaces is that these product placements can be taken away anytime. And the reason, you've seen this on Lazada, you've seen this on Amazon for sure. Amazon is creating their own brands. Lazada is not yet there. But wholesalers offering cheaper price points can replace you anytime. I personally saw this with a previous supplier of mine who decided to sell directly on Lazada. They're selling shirts. They sold shirts. So, but the price points were 300, 400 pesos. But they were winning early on. Like on the first page, they had maybe, let's say, 2 to 3 product placements. But then this one big brand or a couple of big brands selling 150 peso shirts and even 89 peso shirts appeared. And yeah, I think the Lazada business just really decreased a lot. So yeah, direct suppliers from China also, the price points are really low. The advantage of selling direct to customer, number one, is you control the customer experience and branding. Customer experience from ordering to delivery, you can control that if you use your own store. You use your own data. If you use Shopify to collect orders, if you use your Facebook pixel connected with your Shopify account, you'll get to own that data and create lookalikes, retarget the customers later on. And lastly, I think this is the biggest advantage is that you would learn the ins and outs of operating an e-commerce store yourself. This is what I experienced with Shirtly. When I started, I wasn't really the e-commerce guy. I was a domain expert. I was a t-shirt seller. But eventually, after 5 years, I learned the ins and outs, and um, yeah, I learned how to do it on my own. The disadvantage is that it's the opposite of big marketplaces. It's tedious to do everything from scratch, especially if you're just starting now. So the design of the store, which has a lot of factors like the copy, the product descriptions, the branding, the voice of your brand, product photos, the layout of your store, the theme. There's a lot. So payment methods, as I said, you have to pay to get Dragon Pay, although it's worth it. I'm a big Dragon Pay user. Shipping partners, you would have to experiment a lot. You would have to use a lot of different shipping partners to know which one is the best one. Although I recommend NinjaVan and LBC personally for um, cash and delivery orders. In digital marketing in all its forms. I'm going to discuss that later. So here's a quick um, rundown of how you could win if you're selling on big market. If you decide to sell on big marketplaces. So number one is that you have to dominate your category. So if you go to Lazada, you would see all these categories. Um, if you check men's clothing and go to t-shirts, you would see this. Out of the 8 first product placements on top, one brand is dominating the 6 product placements, and that is Inspi. And they're selling a lot of shirts. If you search t-shirts on Lazada also, one of the brands who will appear first. And I think they also have 89 peso shirts. There was one time, I think, either 11.11 or 12.12. So dominator category. The only ones who can do this are the ones that can bring, the companies that can bring prices really low. Like Shirtly can't do this. Our price points are 300 to 400 because we have a made-to-order supply chain model. But if we have, let's say, a big factory that can produce, let's say, thousands of shirts printed using silkscreen, we can bring the cost down and we can earn from this. So it's a big investment needed to be able to afford this, to get into a position like this. Also, the next one is capture trend or fad. Um, so, during the ECQ, work from home, basically, it shoot up. So many people were looking for uh, laptop stands, and the thing was, all the suppliers are based in China. It would take like maybe 2 weeks or more to get the items. And you need it now. So when you check the NCR suppliers of laptop stands, maybe a week ago, they were all out of stock. So I couldn't buy anything. I had to buy one from China. Um, and I think they just replenished, let's say, a few days ago. But yeah, they were able to capture that. Offer huge discounts. For sure, they have Lazada has a voucher page, but on big discounts like 11.11, you can sell a lot. Like people are willing to spend on Lazada those days. Really, um, like lots. People are willing to spend a lot of money. So huge brand recall. If you search diaper in Lazada, these big brands come up. Um, Not the cheaper brands that are basically brandless. But when it comes to diapers and some products, brand take a huge role. So Lazada and big marketplaces like Shopee are also perfect for FMCG companies um, who have already spent millions and maybe even billions of pesos um, on marketing for years, maybe for 100 years, right? So direct to customer, how to win. So I'm gonna start with the short-term things you can do, and then I would mention the long-term things you can do later on. Um, so family and friends for sure. this is my post last May 10 when I launched panaderia.ph during Mother's Day, um, because we're selling tinapay ni nanay. So that's a special, that's an extra touch to it. But yeah, a lot of my friends actually tried it out, and thankfully, many liked it and gave us very honest feedback that helped us improve the quality of our products early on. But our initial customers were all families and friends. And my cousin even posted um, photo of her nephew eating the breads, enjoying them. And you can also do this. Like, I think every business owner does this first, because it makes sense, right? Uh, Next thing you can do, yeah, as you can, well, just to mention it, that you can't do this all the time. You can't like bombard your friends with um, products and marketing materials. I mean, maybe you can do that for some, but some would get annoyed. Maybe they didn't follow you. That's the truth. Um, get featured in online magazines. So yeah, I think this one is from spot.ph. Um, Lots of readership, lots of traffic. I think it's highly possible to get a lot of sales from features like this. Although I haven't really done this before, um, because of how short term it is. You can receive a spike in traffic, but it would be very hard to sustain that, um, especially if you paid for it. Now, if you have a product that gets bought really often and if you have a high repurchase rate, then this would be awesome, right? So you don't need to do this again and again to be able to sell more. You just need, let's say, constant uh, repeat customers that you can send emails and SMS to. Um, and this would be a good way to jumpstart that. So the next one, this is mid, short term, and long term already, because performance marketing can be done. Um, you can basically do it to jumpstart your sales from zero, let's say, to 100 in a few weeks, right? Maybe in a few days if you really know how to do it. But then it can't be considered a long-term strategy because it's a bit dangerous to solely rely on Facebook for traffic, because the algorithm of Facebook changes every, say, a few months. What worked in 2016 is not working anymore this year. So let's say in 2016, we sold a lot of um, school shirts online. Not only the big schools, but almost many of the big colleges in the Philippines, because Facebook allowed us to target students and alumni from those schools. But I think around 2017 or late 2016, Facebook decided to remove that targeting. And so we lost a lot of sales just because of that, just because of one decision of Facebook. And for that reason, it's um, for that reason of not owning the sales channel and relying on one company, a very big company, to make it happen for you. It's scary and it's risky. So CPMs or ad costs also go high and go down. It's like the stock market. So during February to March this year, in the Philippines, it was really high. But right now, as I said, they're pretty low. And so it's like the stock market. It's a bit dangerous. So that's a disadvantage. But again, um, the biggest advantage is you can go from zero to 100 in a few days, if you know how to do it. And anybody can try it, for starting at 400 pesos budget a day. You don't need a lot of money to do it. You can use your iPhone to take photos. You can um, experiment and launch new products, and basically not risking a lot of money to do it. Facebook and IG ads are really powerful. So this one is, going now for the long-term side of direct-to-consumer marketing, customer relationship management, mainly email and SMS. So if you already have leads, you can start working on emails like Flower Store. So they send a lot of emails, almost not really every day, let's say 3 times a week, reminding me to buy flowers or greeting on special occasions. So when I think about buying flowers online, I think about Flower Store first because we have a relationship already and I trust them. So this is a whole different ball game and it's difficult to do and they're experts in this. So yeah, you're gonna have to study because currently I'm still studying how to do this. I'm in the middle of implementing this for Panaderia. Dominate Google search. This is I think for me, one of the best strategies you can do is work on your content and SEO early on because in a few years, if you're able to build a robust SEO and content, not only written content but also YouTube, you can win Google searches. So let's say ube cheese pandesal, right? In April 2020, the searches for ube cheese pandesal skyrocketed. But the thing was, the content available on Google at the time are all about tutorials. What if there's an online bakery that has built ube cheese pandesal content for years? For sure, they would benefit from that kind of surge in traffic. So that's what you get when you win Google searches. And this can take 3 years just to get the ball rolling. You have to invest in content, release content every week, YouTube, videos, articles, and search for keywords, long tail keywords that people are using about your product and related products. So this requires a lot of work and experience as well. Then lastly, word of mouth and repeat purchases. This is basically the goals. If you have this, you don't need to exert a lot of effort in marketing, to be honest. If you have a really good product and people refer you to their friends and they buy again and again, and Big Al's cookie jar come into mind because I've bought their the chocolate cake for quite a lot of time already, and they don't need to market to me. I don't even follow them, but when I've bought from them a couple of times already. So this is a long-term game. If you have a nice product, um, it doesn't happen like from 0 to 100 in a few days. It has to be constant, iteration and improvements. So let's go back to the question, which one you should choose. Um, Personally, I believe that you don't have to choose one. You have to do all because you have to diversify your bets, right? You don't want to go all in one channel only. If you can do both, do both. But what if you're just starting? So when you're just about to start, like how I did with Panaderia, I chose the channel where I thought I would win, right? And I'll discuss that later. So when you get that traction from one channel, you can then explore other channels slowly. You can then go omni-channel, and that is the goal because you don't want to rely on one channel alone in the long run. You want to diversify your bets, and that's why omni-channel is such a buzzword in the e-commerce community. So what lever did I use to launch Panaderia.ph? So I'm going to share with you the lever that I used, and I'm going to give you a quick deep dive on how you could apply it to your own business also. So I used the one where I had the highest chance of winning. So I've been an e-commerce operator for 5 years, and I know Shopify. So yeah, I created an online store using Shopify, and I launched it using Facebook and IG ads. Basically, um, that's how I started, and you can do this as well. So number one, the first thing that I did, after talking to the team, after making the decisions on the name, the colors, and all that, I decided to work on unit economics. So unit economics is important in e-commerce, most especially because you have to take into consideration the ad cost that you're going to spend for each purchase. So Facebook ads is not free. Um, Really depends on the product that you're selling and how good your ads are, how good your creatives are. The ad cost depends on those things. So it's a bit tricky, but if you've been in the business for a while, you would know how to estimate the ad cost for your product and your online store. So put a healthy unit economics in place. Aside from cost of goods sold, including the packaging and all the raw materials, um, you have to take advantage. You have to consider the ad cost also. So for panaderia.ph, I was estimating the ad cost per order to be at say 40 to 80 pesos, right, per order. It's a bit high because our minimum order is 150 pesos only. So yeah, I had to work on that, plus our margins. So your estimated ad cost and margins, if you start doing this, you would notice that this can go up and down because your margins would also depend on the ad cost for that certain month, let's say. So with those factors in mind, that's the only time you can figure out the selling prices. So it's important to set healthy unit economics in place, especially if you're starting with Facebook and IG ads. Next one I figured out, after we worked on the products, lots of iterations, is product photos. So I'm staying in Tagaytay at the moment, and our operations is in Manila. So I'm not there to take. I don't have any capability to take the photos. Although I'm not a professional photographer myself, so I just asked my nephew to use his iPhone and use two spotlights on the left side and the right side of each bread. Put it on tissue paper and a white paper, and just take photos, lots of photos. And this is one of the photos, um, which then became this. So first thing that I did with the product photo is that I cropped the background using Canva. I have a paid Canva subscription. And I removed the background, and I used a background photo on Canva as well. I edited the raw photo using the Foodie app. It's free, it's really easy to use. It made the photo a lot better from the one that I showed earlier to this one. Right. Also, I asked my partner to take lots of photos of our ube cheese and the samples. Um, I also edited this using the Foodie app. She just took this using her phone as well. Um, it's very simple, but yeah, as I'll show you later, this photo is working wonders for us. Um, After that, I worked on the product description. So this one is a bit tricky because lots of online stores, especially the drop shippers, don't really have product descriptions. I don't know why, but this one is very important if you want to set the tone of your online store. Copy is really important. So don't use very corporate-ish and template-ish product descriptions. Because no one want to see that. If you can create something sincere and aligned with the voice of your brand, with the language that you're using, um, it would work really well for you in terms of conversion rate, in terms of increasing your conversion rates. People want something sincere and genuine. and you have to show your personality. Um, yeah. You can study this. I'm gonna give you resources later, but this can be studied, right? So for our product description, I got inspired by a certain YouTuber's um, voice. So that's what I decided to use. Um, Not really use, but try to be inspired with. Right. So next, with the web store, is that when you're designing your web store, don't fall into the trap of designing for desktop first. Desktop first is a trap because it looks good. Like when you're on Shopify, looks good to design like the big screen. The thing is, for us, 90%, more than 90%, around 92 of our traffic comes from mobile. And that's huge. That's almost 100%. And for that reason alone, you have to design mobile first. Also, you have to um, take into consideration your market and your customers. So we felt like our market would also include the older population. So we made an effort to keep our user experience and user interface really simple. So I only put two main menus for the navigation. Number one is our breads. Second is how to order. That's it. I'm not going to add any more links on that bar in the future. So it's easy. When we first released this, the first feedback that I got that the website is really easy to use. So when you press that hamburger button on the left upper left corner, you would then see all the customer service pages that we have. How to track your order, how to cancel your order, returns, privacy policy, how to contact us, and everything. Right? It's important to have that. Again, you don't want to have a blank store. You want to put some context. You want to educate your customers also, because not everyone is, a long time online shopper already. Some of them are buying online for the first time. So homepage. So if you scroll down on our homepage, you would see a couple of products already, and when you click that, you would go directly to the product page. Now, many stores, they don't do this. From homepage, they require their customers to go to the collection page first, and then it's the only time when the products are shown. You can cut that process by just putting products on your first page. And this really helped us, increase our conversion rates. So the cart, on the other hand, because we have a minimum order of 150 pesos, I use a cart type, a drawer type cart. So there's two types. One is drawer. So when you press add to cart, this certain pop-up pops out from the right side. But there's another kind where when you press add to cart, it goes to another page, to another cart page. So this one is very important for us because we have a minimum order of 150 pesos. And in order to add more breads, you have to continue shopping. So people can just drag this certain pop-up to the right again and continue shopping. For the minimum order, we used an app. It's a paid app, but it's very cheap on Shopify. That shows an error message when the order message is below 150 pesos, and they press checkout. So customers can only press checkout when the order is 150 pesos. So how I use all right. So Facebook budget. I've the Facebook budget initially would depend on your average order value. So for new stores like Panadera.ph, you have to estimate. I estimated our average order value to be at 300 to 400 pesos. So my rule of thumb is to use that order value as your daily budget for your Facebook ads, right? So that way you're going to be able to test reaching thousands of traffic already because Facebook ads is pretty cheap in the Philippines, and that's what I use. I'm going to show you later. Um, and our first try was actually profitable, mostly because of our creatives. Our ad was really good, and our average order value now is at 472 pesos. So it's even higher than my early estimate. So the thing with Facebook ads is that before, in 2016, targeting is really big. You would see a lot of experts talking about targeting, how to target niches, how to, exclude certain, I don't know, target demographics. But Facebook ads in 2020, it's all about the creatives. It's all about the ads. Facebook is taking care of the tedious process of targeting. And now they want their users to focus on create really good ads instead, because that helps them keep their users on their app also. So it provides generally a better customers experience for Facebook users. And that's why they want us to focus on that. So before I launched my first ad, I prepared 12 different ad combinations and ideas with different captions, photos, and headlines. So I usually call this value propositions. So you have to prepare, let's say, a lot before you even launch your first ad, because this helps you assess which one is has the highest chance of working. And so these are the slide number 2 and 3. So I launched these two ads, and they, as I said, on the first day they were profitable, and I haven't turned them off since. So they're working really well, thankfully. So I launched these ads, and after that, we're currently maxing our capacity already. So you may be asking how much time I needed to do all those things, and I needed 15 days. I could have done it in 4 to 5 days, but then what took a long time for me was the copy, because I'm not an expert copywriter yet. So it took me like 5 days just to work on the product descriptions, work on the language, work on the buttons and all that, and work on the headlines, get inspired by other existing brands. 15 days, that's what I needed to launch Panaderia.ph on Mother's Day. So as I said, you can also use this lever because I think it's doable. Anyone who's new to e-commerce can also do that. And I'm going to discuss that today. So how to jumpstart your Shopify sales using FB and IG ads. I know that not a lot of you use Shopify. Maybe some of you use your Facebook pages and Instagram pages, but I highly suggest using Shopify because there's a lot of advantage to it, like capturing your data, being able to measure your metrics, like your average order value. Because if you do everything manually, you wouldn't have those tools and those metrics to measure your progress. So I highly recommend creating a Shopify store. Why Shopify? I don't know. It's just the best e-commerce platform out there. You can try others like WooCommerce and like Squarespace, but Shopify is just on another level. I'm not paid by Shopify, by the way. So setting up. So I'm not gonna discuss these anymore because you can YouTube these things and just set them up on your own. Number one is you have to set up your Facebook Business Manager and ad account. Just search that on YouTube. It's pretty easy. You can do that in like less than 15 minutes. And you have to connect your credit card with your ad account. Having a credit card is required to pay Facebook ads. So what I do is, I use my own, and I also borrowed some credit cards from my mom and my partner. So I could launch a higher budget. and have more options. Number three is Facebook ads policy. So if you don't know this yet, Facebook is very strict with the ads that we launch. So there's a very stringent policy that everyone has to follow. There are products that are not permitted by Facebook. There are certain language and words that they don't want, and they can just simply ban your ad account for doing that again and again. So you have to be careful with this, and you have to learn the policies. So again, make sure you already have a Shopify store and a Facebook page and an IG page. So you need a Facebook page and an IG page to launch FB ads and IG ads. If you don't have one yet, just go to YouTube and search how to do it. My general advice for creating a Shopify store. Number one is go with function over design. So many local brands, to be honest, especially big retailers, have highly graphic e-commerce stores. But if you check their conversion rates, it's really low. Their website is really laggy. There's a lot of pop-ups everywhere. Don't measure your Shopify store in terms of design. Measure it in terms of conversion rate. So there might be some, customers that want that, and if they are your customers, then good. And you measure that with the conversion rate. Conversion rate basically is how many people, how many traffic, how many website visitors buy. It's that ratio. So like for every 100 visitors, how many people end up buying. So I think the industry benchmark is around 2 to 3% at the moment, but Shortly for one has a conversion rate of 4 to 5%. So you have to work on that. Doesn't happen overnight. So again, mobile first design. I discussed this already. Third is to create a simple brand story. Create slogans, create taglines with a certain voice, and place it everywhere from your Facebook page to your shipping labels to your confirmation emails, because this would help you stand out in a very competitive marketplace and like e-commerce. So customer feedback is crucial early on. My family and friends helped me with, with improving the initial versions of our product. But you have to continue doing this even when you're not selling to your families and friends anymore. So I suggest creating an NPS a survey, customer feedback survey that measures the NPS score. The NPS score is a way to measure how happy your customers are and the chances of them referring your business to their friends. Just YouTube how to create one. But generally ask feedback on your product, customer service, delivery, and packaging. So product quality is not the only factor for repeat purchases, but you have to have good customer service, good delivery riders, and you have to have pretty good, decent packaging also. So payments, I would recommend PayMongo, PayPal, and DragonPay. DragonPay if possible if you're willing to shell out 30,000 and create a DragonPay account. I've been a DragonPay user for 5 years and I'm really happy. They keep adding more and more payment options, especially lately. I think they just added like Tendo Pay, which is a installment payment provider. But yeah, I highly recommend DragonPay. Not paid by DragonPay either. Delivery partner, trust Ninja Van and LBC for COD. Try others. You can build your own fleet of delivery riders if you know how to do it. But yeah, if you're going to outsource it, go with Ninja Van and LBC. Launching an FB ad can be done in 30 minutes. It's pretty easy. I'm gonna show you how to create one using these slides. I don't even need to show you how to do it live because you can basically do it on your own. within the day. So when you already have set up your ads manager, this is how it's going to look like, right? So initially, it's a bit overwhelming because I know there are lots of numbers and there are lots of tabs, but it's actually pretty simple. So when you first create one, this is gonna be blank. And the first thing when you want to create an ad already is to press that create button and under the campaigns tab. So when you do this, this pop-up would appear. So there are three main parts of the of your ad account of your campaign. First is the campaign. Second is the ad set. Third is the ad. So a campaign is a collection of ad sets. An ad set is a collection of ads, and they have their own purposes, but they're technically grouped. You can create several campaigns with different objectives, and under those campaigns, you can set different ad sets with targeting. Okay, so um, when you set up a campaign, the first thing that you have to set is the objective of your campaign. So as you can see, I chose conversions. You can only do this um, when you connect your Facebook pixel with your Shopify store. But you can also set other conversions like page likes, like um, website traffic, or say messenger, new messages, and stuff like that. So ad sets, on the other hand, that's how you set the targeting. I'll discuss that later. And when you create an ad, you would need to set the caption, poster, and headline, basically the creatives of the ad. Um, so this is a bit technical, but yeah, please bear with me. Not really. It's my first time to explain this, but I'm sure there are lots of YouTubers that can explain this really well. But I'm gonna try to do it so I can show you how I did it for Panaderia. So this is how I did it for Panaderia. Um, First is the campaign setting, right? Um, when you're editing your campaign, you just need to set your campaign name. So mine is panaderia.ph, panaderia.ph underscore conversions. Conversions because it's the campaign objective that I chose. As you can see, there are other objectives that you can choose as well. I highly suggest using conversions. Don't use page likes. Don't use traffic, because you would get all those stuff when you have a really good campaign, a really good, highly converting campaign or set of ads. So just choose conversions. You just need a Facebook pixel connected with your Shopify account to use this. If you have a Facebook page or an IG page instead and you don't want to create a Shopify account, just choose messages under the consideration um, column. So messages, it would help you generate new messages on your FB page. And if you choose to do it manually like that, you can also do it because it also works. So if you check the lower part, it says campaign budget optimization. CBO is basically a feature of Facebook that allows them to take charge of allocating your budget to the most effective ad set. So when you're already you're already working on Facebook ads for, let's say, a few weeks already, maybe, and you have a couple of ad sets, you may want to check this and try to experiment with it. But for the sake of launching, I won't check it yet because I would only launch one ad set. So after that, you would go to, after the campaign setting is the ad set setting. So first you need to set the ad set name. So, as I said, ad set is used to set the targeting settings of your ads. So I decided to target breakfast lovers based in Metro Manila, 20 to 50 years old. Um, I'll discuss why I decided to target that. Um, so yeah, conversion event should be purchase, right? Just choose purchase. Because website conversions, you can um, let Facebook target add to carts or page visits or searches. Just go with purchase when you're starting. All right, so this is how you set a budget. As I said, your daily budget should be your average or estimated average order value. So I used 400 pesos, as I discussed earlier, and set as a daily budget. I don't personally use like setting an end date to my ad sets because I can turn them off anytime I want. So I let them run until I turn them off. So in because there's another way of setting the budget. I like for the month of May, you can set a budget of 20,000 pesos, right? For me, it's easier to control my ads when I use daily budgeting instead. So yeah, right. So audience. So why did I choose Metro Manila only? Because we can deliver um, in Metro Manila only. Actually, when I set panaderia.ph, we can only serve to San Juan. We can only serve San Juan, Santa Mesa, Mandaluyong, Makati, BGC, Ortigas. But yeah, we're hoping to use Metro Manila soon. So if you don't deliver to, let's say, Cavite or Tagaytay or Rizal, you have to narrow down your locations. Because I see this mistake among all brands. There are lots of restaurant businesses in Manila. They'll target me. I'm already in Tagaytay. I've been here for 2 months, 3 months already. So I don't know why they're targeting me. Um, so under the locations tab, you have to choose people recently in this location, right? Because the other option is people whose homes are in this location. So my main address is in Metro Manila, but I haven't been there recently. So you have to choose that setting instead. Um, right. So limit your age, and gender. This is just a hunch for me because I think that 20 plus um, population has a higher purchasing power compared to 18 and 19 years olds, and I don't think they would pretty much buy bread. Um, Also decided to limit my age to 50 because um, they're more well versed at ordering online. Although I can't say that anymore because everyone knows how to order from Lazada and online stores nowadays. It's just that I wanted to limit my initial set of audience. So detailed targeting, I just chose a very broad target: breakfast. That's it. You don't have to narrow it down further because, as I said, Facebook takes charge of finding the right people who would purchase your product, and they have a way to do that. The potential reach of this targeting is 1.4 million. In 2020, I think this is really good. In 2016, this is really bad. 2016, potential reach should be 200K, 300K now, especially with the 400 peso budget. But right now, this has worked really well for me for a long time already. Even with a 400 peso budget, I can, yeah, this works well, even if the potential reach is 1.4 M. So based on the estimated daily results, I would reach 4,000 to 12,000 people. Um, and conversions, Facebook estimated the number of conversions to be less than 10 a day, and they were wrong. Yeah, they were wrong. Basically because my ads really performed well, thankfully. So yeah, this is very technical, but when you go down, you would see advanced settings. Just click that and set the conversion window to 1 day click. So basically, this means that Facebook would prioritize and target people who might buy your products after clicking your ads within a day, right? Within a day. They So there are people who have purchasing behavior like this, and since we have a small target and since we're launching, We want to reach people like that. Eventually, you can set, let's say, 7-day click or 7-day views as the conversion window. That's okay. But when you're starting, I highly recommend 1-day click. All right, so done with the ad set setting. We're now proceeding to the ad setting. So select your Facebook and IG page, and for starters, you choose single image ad. There are other types of ads that you can launch, like carousels and collections. But for the sake of launching, and this is the easiest to launch, and it's also effective, choose single image ad. So use a 1000 by 1000 poster. This will be shown on Facebook, Instagram, and other placements, except stories. So the text, if you decide, I don't have a text inside the image, but if you have one, it should be less than 20% of the whole area. Why? Because Facebook doesn't want to show ads that look bad, and usually the ones with a lot of text look bad. So for stories, use a different photo for stories. I see a lot of brands not doing this. Actually, majority, 90% of the ads I see don't use a different photo for their story ads. So you can just create a different ad on Canva, and this converts a lot better than a square photo on stories. So yeah, this is the end. This is the final product with the caption that they made and the headline and the photo. So the last part of my presentation. It's measuring success, the metrics. So the main metric when you're um, when you're a beginner and when you're a small business has to be return on ad spend. Return on ad spend basically is the returns that you get from each peso that you spend on paid ads. So the question is, for every peso that you spend on performance marketing, how much do you get back, right? It's not just about the number of sales, because you can sell a lot of products online, but then at the end of the month, you're at a loss. And that happens all the time for big brands because they're willing to spend a lot just to get sales. But for SMEs and for people starting like us, it's important to take into consideration the returns and the profit. So approach number one is total. This is a worksheet that I think the organizers would share with you because I shared it with them. Share the link. So approach number one is total sales to ads ratio. So on the second column, basically that's how much. That's just random sales numbers, but yeah, you just record your total sales every day. You update this sheet every day, and on the third column, input how much you spent on ads for that day, and on the fourth column, you would see your ROAS score. So this means, let's say for May 1, for each peso that I spend, I got 10 peso back in gross sales in return, right? So is that good or bad? For me, that's good because with this approach, I think 10%, allotting 10% of your total sales for advertising is not really bad at all. I think it's a standard among many businesses. So this is not very accurate, right? Because you want, like, approach number two is more accurate. You want to be comparing your profit with your ad spend. But then I use this because I have a client that doesn't want to share the profits with the profit numbers with me. So I use this instead and measure ROAS using your gross sales versus the ad spend. So when you start doing this, you would see that some days would be green, some days would be red, and some days would be very bad because I said Facebook ads is like the stock market. So when you see your ROAS below your target for a few days, you have to make adjustments. Maybe test a new ad, test a new value proposition, test new targeting, and when you find a more effective ad or value prop, it's highly possible to get your ROAS back up again. So yeah. Approach number two is gross profit to ads ratio. So the only difference is that here we're comparing the gross profit per product, and not the total sales. So gross profit is usually, yeah, lower than total sales because it's just part of the sales, the total sales. But you have to, especially if you have many product lines and different profit for each product line, you have to be able to compute how much gross profit you got for the day. So for example, for May 1, I got say 1,700 pesos and I spent 500 on Facebook ads. Um, so my ROAS score is 3.4, which is good for me because for every 1 peso that I spent, I got 3.4 pesos profit in return. That's not so bad at all. Um, Yeah, because for me, three above a ROAS score of three and above is good. When you're using approach number two, a ROAS score below two or below three is quite risky already, right? You want you want to be able to um, target three as a ROAS score, and you can do this by experimenting on ads and value propositions. So with this approach, you can also compute the gross profit that you have for the day, and if you're able to deliver all the orders, um, yeah, you can basically compute your net profit by subtracting your fixed expense and overhead costs from the total gross profit of the sheet. All right, so that's it. That's how you measure. That's what ROAS is. That's what return ad spend is. And if you're a business owner, um, it's how I recommend measuring your um, progress. So general advice on scaling sales through Facebook. Sorry for the typo. FB and IG ads. Number one is do not scale your ad budget unless you have a proven and profitable ads. Sorry for the typo again. Unless you have proven and profitable ads. Um, Start with a small budget and from there scale. Don't do the other way around where you start with a high budget and then lower it down because it's failing. Okay. Simple way to scale. If your ad set is profitable, meaning you reach your target ROAS for 3 days straight, increase it by 20%. 20%. If it's not profitable for 2 to 3 days straight, decrease it by 20%, or turn it off, and launch a new one. That's it. Um, you can also, when you already have a bigger budget, total budget, the ROAS tend to go down with bigger budgets, right? Because the same people are seeing your ads. Um, if when you already have a bigger budget, so testing a lot of creatives is key when you have bigger budgets. You might have to have like 5 different ads per ad set, 10 different ads per ad set. Really depends on your budget. But as you increase your budgets, you have to be testing more and more creatives, and retain the ones that are successful. So when you find ones that are successful for a long time, they are called evergreen ads, and you want as many evergreen ads as possible. For the ones that are not working, just turn them off and create new ones. Cash on delivery, on the other hand, has a big downside. RTS. RTS is the horror of COD merchants. Um, Try to incorporate this when you're computing for your gross profit every month. So RTS basically um, the orders that are returned by, let's say, Ninja Van or LBC, when a shopper or customer decides to not accept the item. It's a really bad practice, but then it happens. It happens a lot of times, especially for apparel companies, and it's painful because we still pay our delivery partners shipping fees, even if the items return to us. Last general e-commerce advice is that you have to find synergies with e-commerce operators and domain experts. Um, I talked about this on a separate video on jamesfern.com. You might want to watch it, but I discussed how successful vertical e-commerce stores in the Philippines are born. And basically, each team has an e-commerce operator and a domain expert. Um, if you want to do it on your own, if you have no choice, do it. You can be both. It's just gonna take a lot of time to learn, but it's doable, and you learn a lot. But if you want a very capable team, I suggest finding your counterparts. Like, I'm an e-commerce operator, and the domain experts of Panaderia.ph are my brother and sister-in-law. So they've been in the business for almost 20 years, and they've been really good at it. And I love our Panaderia team. We are really capable of doing it, and we can expand Panaderia to greater heights soon. So yeah, that's my general advice. Maybe watch the video on my website. So there's another advice. Performance marketing is a never-ending learning process. So I'm currently studying performance marketing every day. I don't stop, because these things change. Facebook algorithm changes every month. There are new trends, so you have to continue learning, and you don't have to enroll in whatever school to do that. These are my suggested resources. On Twitter, there are lots of direct to customer, not influencers, but operators that you can follow. So I highly suggest following Social Savannah, Web, and David Herman. Share a lot of really good insights about direct to customer and paid ads. Um, Maybe you want to follow, if you want to follow local counterparts, it's actually not a lot. There's a few, but there's not a lot. So I suggest following those guys instead. Um, you may also want to follow the social media experts that you see on your feeds, but just be careful of the advice that you take in. There are Facebook groups that help each other do Facebook ads. One is Social Savannah's ad creatives group. So I get a lot of ad ideas from that Facebook group. And if you want to join, you can join. Just follow Social Savannah and search for that link. Newsletter, I highly suggest following 2pml.com. It's basically a newsletter by Web. It's all about e-commerce in the whole world, the latest news and trends. And I get a lot of ideas from that newsletter because many of those ideas are from the US and no one's doing them yet in the Philippines, and that's an opportunity for me. YouTube, follow Neil Patel. Lots of good daily advice every day. Short bits about digital marketing in general. Podcast, the best e-commerce podcast is Privy's, the e-commerce marketing show. Just search that on Spotify. Basically, the best podcast I've listened to. I get a lot from them, and they're my best running partner ever. I basically just launched a new feature on Panaderia.ph yesterday because of listening to an episode yesterday as well. Book, there's not a lot about digital marketing, but you might want to check the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. And one of the best lines that I like from that book is, ego is the enemy of successful marketing. So when many marketers, when they try to sell something, they think about themselves. They think about how good the ad looks, how good the product is, but that's all ego. You have to focus on the customers instead. Have to be humble, listen to your customers, and learn on a continuous basis. Right. So basically, that's it. Visit my website jamesfern.com. It's basically contains everything that I'm working on. I'm also working on other things. If you want to contact me, just email me. If you want to partner up or collab, just reach out, right? So I think there's a question and answer portion later. But yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys. Have a good day and good luck with your e-commerce journey.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Hey, Patch.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks,
Yeah.
James.
That
Thanks
was
for that
long. Yeah.
presentation.
Right.
So how are you feeling? I didn't know you were in
Yeah. Also,
Tagaytay. I didn't know you were in
uh,
Tagaytay.
yeah. That's why my connection is pretty bad. But yeah, I've been here since March 15, I think.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah.
During
So
the last webinar, I was already here also.
okay, I didn't know that, but yeah, it's good. It's good to know that yeah, you're safe over there.
Right. Yeah.
So thanks for the presentation. Thanks for that comprehensive uh, presentation on e-commerce. I know a lot of those that are watching right now are either in e-commerce already. They have some
Right.
sort of web presence, but some are also still, it wasn't like a priority channel for them pre-COVID, but now they're
Yeah.
forced. So one of the questions that we got for your presentation for in our website was, what can you recommend to those merchants who want to jump into e-commerce? How can they do it efficiently? Busconian here. So I think
Right. Oh
more
yeah. Let's go
like
ahead.
for those who are looking into getting into e-commerce, what would you advise them? Like what are like siguro if they would consult you, no? Like what would the
Yeah.
first few things that you want to ask them and like they should cover before they jump into an e-commerce, project?
Right. Siguro what I would consider first is um the pitfalls that I want to avoid when launching an e-commerce store. So to be more specific, one of the pitfalls kasi of launching an e-commerce store is like having very small margins to be able to sell online.
Mhm.
So for example, if you're selling, yun nga, I discussed the ad spend per average order value, di ba? It's part of that.
Yeah.
You have to take into consideration yung ad cost. So for every purchase, dapat kasama dun sa computation because I think Miss Pinky po also mentioned this earlier na merong mga merchants na they continue selling pero they keep losing
Yun
money.
na pala yung palugi
Um,
nilang
that's
product.
also entirely possible na hindi kasi yung kanina packaging, di ba? I think packaging and
Yeah.
shipping fee. So this one naman, I think nangyari to sa akin personally eh. The ad costs got really high and I was not able to
To
take into
convert it.
consideration. Oo. Actually no, nung
The
start
actual
pa lang,
okay, okay.
yeah, nung start pa lang, hindi ko na nagawang parang enough yung margin for the ad cost.
Right.
So when it got a little bit higher, I started losing money per order.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's one of the pitfalls that I want to avoid. And yun yung
So
isa
that
sa first na ano.
so like what they can really use is the sheet, no, that you shared.
Yes.
Kasi by
Yes.
doing that line per line, they can see
Yeah.
how much like the ads that they spend, if they're actually earning money from it or they're losing
Right.
money from it.
Yes, yes. It's a daily ano kasi it's a sheet that has to be updated daily.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be yun if you were to consult me yun nga I would have to be on top of that number on a daily basis talaga. And prior to that, yung pag-set ng unit economics. Ngayon, like when I started Panaderia, I was really careful talaga.
Of
Compared to when I started Shirtly,
okay.
na medyo
Mm-hmm.
mabilis yung decision making ko,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Marami
hindi
pang
masyadong,
experimenting.
yes, yes, correct. So,
Um, you mentioned a while ago something about omni channels. Can you go back to that a bit? When you mean omni channels, na brands right now or businesses right now should be present in many different platforms, right? Is that what you meant? Like you should have your
yeah,
website, you should be on Facebook, Lazada, Instagram and all other different platforms. Is that what you meant by omni-channel?
Yes.
Being an omni-channel brand.
Right. So like for brand starting kasi being omni-channel, I know omni-channel is something that's being shared a lot these days.
Okay,
Yeah, and yun kasi yung goal, especially for brands that are thriving already. But
right.
for the ones that are starting pa lang, I think
Mm-mm.
it's a bit hard to
Mm-mm.
um, overstretch yourself
Right.
sa iba-ibang channels agad. So what I recommend is yun nga, start on one. But
Uh,
when you start getting traction na, yun, try to
move.
hit, kasi
So
delikado if isa lang yung
my
channel.
follow-up question there is that with the many
Yeah,
channels that we have now, no, so you have Instagram,
yeah,
Facebook, Shopify, Lazada, and all those others. Like, based on your experience or what you've
yeah.
observed, like for each channel, what would be like the parang, oh, if you're this type of business, bagay ka sa Instagram. If you're this type of business, if you were to start with a channel, go with Lazada first or go with Facebook.
Right. Siguro if your business is yung like what I mentioned kanina, yung inspi, very high inventory tapos hindi you're not that specific with the margins. Yung quantity yung important.
Uh,
I suggest going with Lazada first and the big marketplaces instead of
okay,
launching your own e-commerce store.
okay.
Pero if you're a brand, for example, let's say let's say bags na medyo
Mhm.
mataas yung price points and
Mhm.
let's say I have a friend kasi na nagbebenta ng bags sa department store sa SM.
Mhm.
So he's going to start an online store now. And the problem for him, he can't really go to Lazada kasi yung competitors niya nasa 300 to 500 price points. Eh
Okay.
siya, nasa 800, 1K, 1.5. So, it's a bit hard for him.
To
So,
compete
kapag,
there.
yes, hindi siya makakakuha ng quantity. So, yeah, if he decided to create his own Shopify store, tapos yun nga, Instagram kasi bags maganda yung lifestyle photos.
Mhm.
Maybe he's
Yeah,
also thinking of working with influencers. So
right.
yun, yun yung what I would consider.
How about so a lot of our attendees also are more on the smaller businesses, social enterprises. So they work
Yeah,
with a lot of artisans, a lot of you
right.
know craftsmen,
Yeah,
yeah, that kind of creative economy. So you'd also imagine that their products are not of volume, but
right.
of like the mas small batches yung napoproduce nila.
Yes, yes, yes.
Where could they what's the best play where could they start in terms of what channel would be the best fit for them?
I think if I think the best channel for me, what I would
Mhm.
consider is um, for sure I would use Shopify and Instagram and Facebook altogether. I think that's what I
Mhm.
also mentioned. Pero for small batches kasi, I
Mhm.
think important yung following and building a community
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
building a strong parang brand presence. So yun, that's where Instagram can play a huge role.
right.
Tapos naman, like me kasi when yun, panaderya, when we started, um, limited rin yung resources namin when we started, basically.
Mhm.
So with Facebook ads or Instagram ads, you can start with 400 to 500 pesos daily budget only.
Mhm.
And then you can experiment if magiging profitable yun for you
Okay,
or not. So if you find na profitable yun, pwede mo scale and pwede padamihin yung orders from that and then you can start going omni-channel.
branching out. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about for businesses that are providing services? Have you ever encountered or do you have any advice for those who are offering services, including na rin siguro digital
Yeah.
products? So it's
Right.
not really tangible.
Yeah.
So for
For
example, yeah,
okay.
just for example, like in terms of services, say cleaning service, and then in terms of like digital products, possibly. I don't know, courses,
Right.
learning materials, or consultations
Yeah.
as well.
I
Any
think,
experience when it
yeah.
comes to that, or like input?
Um, I personally don't have a lot of experience yet with digital products, but I've been following a lot of companies kasi, and I'm
Yeah,
also being targeted by a lot of marketers and a lot of
same here. I purchased one
services.
recently.
Yun, ang dami nila eh. And they have high budgets din. Hindi lang locally pero internationally. So I mostly see them on my Facebook feed.
Mm.
So if you're going to set up an ad, I suggest using
Facebook.
Facebook
Mm.
and using the Facebook feed as the main channel because I don't see
Okay.
them a lot on Instagram, on
Oo.
stories. I would suggest na kasi some of these businesses um, they have ads that have been running for a long time eh. Yun yung sign na profitable yung campaign na yun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to the platform naman, I think let's say courses, I think Teachable would be a great
Platform
a
to host it.
platform. Yes, kasi for example, I think Teachable has uh, peso currency, pero yung other alternatives like Thinkific,
Thinkific.
yun, walang
Walang ganun.
currency.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Shopify can also be used for services naman.
Yeah,
There
I
are
did see
templates,
some.
yun,
Yeah. Like if you
yun,
want to parang mga downloadable digital products, you can use
yeah.
Shopify for that.
Yeah.
All right.
I was actually reading about this last night.
Mm-hmm.
They sent a newsletter, but it's about digital products.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a certain theme for digital products, and yun lang. Iba kasi yung thinking when you're buying digital products. So I think the theme would play a huge role.
Okay. Yeah. I have a question also. How do you compute? So when you're starting your ad budget, is
Yeah.
there a way to compute for your budget spend, or is it just like, okay, I'll spend X amount on this and then we'll see what happens, or is there some sort of like better science to it in coming up with a budget for your ad spend? And then a follow up question there is that
Yeah.
what's a good starting point? Like, what's a good starting budget?
Right. Yung main rule ko actually, I also just learned this from another digital marketer na experience. Siguro 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yung sinuggest sa akin was to use the average order value that I think. For example, sa panaderia, um, 150 pesos yung minimum na order namin. And there's an 89 peso shipping fee.
Yeah.
So yun pa lang, nasa 230 na. And that's like 1 or 2 packs of bread. I thought na maybe people would add maybe 2 more packs, 3 more packs, and magpo-fall to 300, 400 level yung
Yeah.
average order
Average
value.
basket size.
Yeah.
Order.
For starting, like when I began, it's a parang medyo may guesswork pa rin dun. But
Right.
it's the nearest one I could find. Kasi, for example, if you're selling more expensive items like shoes na let's say 5,000 pesos, mas onti lang din yung part ng population na willing to buy higher ticket items.
Yes.
So it's important to allocate more budget to your ads also. And with that, higher margins then. So it really depends on the average order value. And so pero ako actually kasi yung items that I've sold so far puro 300, 400 until hoodies kasi nasa 1,000.
Right.
So I always start with 500 a day.
500
for one campaign. For one campaign, that's only for one product. But if you have like, let's say, school shirts, tas ganyan.
And usually how many campaigns do you run at a time? Or like ongoing at the same
time? Yeah, right. That's a really good question. Kasi sa Shirtly, I have like 7 campaigns that I started with.
So if 7 at 400 pesos daily, so 7 times 4 like 2,800 daily.
Yes. So, doon ako nag-start. But because we had a lot of products and we had a starting point na sa Shirtly.
Yeah.
For panaderia naman, isang lang talaga. Isang campaign lang. So, yung ube cheese pandesal and yung
Sure.
Yeah, that's it. Ayun. So,
Question,
usually ko lang.
going
Yeah.
back to the average, you mentioned the average order quantity. So what do you do with that? So if you said that, if you set your, like with Panaderia, you set your average order quantity at 150 pesos? Is that what
Yeah, yung minimum order quantity. Yeah.
minimum order? So it's different from the average order pa.
Yeah, it's different.
Okay. So the average is
So
around 300, you mentioned.
yeah, that's what I estimated, and right
Estimated.
now it's actually at 472 at the moment.
Okay. And then, so from that, let's say 400, yung average order quantity, how will you derive your ad budget from that amount?
So what usually happens using the ROA sheet, diba?
Okay.
So let's say total sales for the day. You can compute, kunyari, 472 per order, and let's say you have 20 orders. So let's say yung gross profit mo per order is like, let's say 50% or
Yeah.
40% on average. So let's say 50. No, let's say 40. Uh, that's 188 pesos per order. So times 20, that's around 3,760 pesos.
Okay.
So, yun yung total gross profit for the day, and then ililess mo lang yung
Yun na lang.
ad cost. Yeah.
Okay.
And then after that, you can reverse engineer it na parang, okay, for every order, ito yung ginastos ko for each order. Nagpa-fluctuate siya actually every day. So, when you
Kailangan mo
start
talaga
running ads,
i-monitor.
yes.
Ah.
Yun.
All right. Sige, so we don't have we have room for one last question, and this one's
Okay.
from Dexter Yu. So he is saying, "What's your take on free delivery? Do you believe that online stores must generally absorb the delivery fees, or do you think customers are okay with paying for it?
Um,
Especially like in
that's a
Metro
really good
Manila."
question. Yeah.
No. What's your take
Um,
on delivery fees?
um, in the Philippines, I haven't seen, kasi I think the only big merchant here that's doing free deliveries at the moment, siguro is smaller, not really, the smaller brands that for example, I ordered coffee, free
Mm-mm.
delivery siya.
Mm-mm.
But yung big brand that's doing this is Food Panda.
Mm-mm.
They offered it last year, tas hindi na natapos.
Okay.
Hanggang ngayon, free delivery pa din siya. But majority of the others, like for example, Lazada, meron pa din na 40 pesos delivery fee. So, in my opinion, that would depend on the margins na you have on your product. Kasi
Okay.
kunyari, for panaderia, it's a bit difficult for us to
To
um,
absorb it.
absorb that. Pero if we can, I'm sure that it would increase the order volume.
Uh-huh.
So, I think for starting brands, um, it's okay to start with um, parang letting the customers pay for the delivery fees muna.
Mm.
Kasi it's a bit, especially at this moment, medyo magulo yung delivery fees. For example, from Manila to Quezon
Iba-iba.
City,
Oo.
minsan 140, minsan 280.
So parang making it variable and having the customer kind of shoulder it depending on where they are in the city.
Yeah.
Mag-differ. Pwedeng makamura sila
Yeah.
or pwedeng
Yeah, that's okay. Pero for example, you have the means to absorb it, and yun nga, if you want quantity, kasi ang ganda tignan ng free shipping sa
Yeah.
ads. It's a
Yeah.
big,
Yeah, it's a
mataas
big
yung click-through
plus.
ratio. So when they see that on their feeds, oy, free shipping, tas I want the product, edi ang taas ng conversion rate. If you can
Alright.
absorb that, if you have a business like that or products like that, then I think
Yeah.
that would be awesome also. It's a luxury to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a luxury.
All right. Thank you, James. That's all the time we have for this session. But really, really thank you for spending the afternoon with us and sharing what you know about e-commerce. I'm sure uh, um, you can, for those who are watching, you can get in touch with James through the details that he posted a while ago. And yeah, thank you so much. And
thank you
that
for having me,
actually
Patch.
ends yeah, actually ends our Sparkability Virtual Summit,
Right.
guys. Congratulations to everyone for joining
Yeah.
us for the past 2 days. And I hope that you were able to find our sessions here, not just James's sessions, but even all the other 5 sessions that we had, very insightful and meaningful as you respark in this better normal we are all creating together. So
Right.
before we end, I'd like to thank our partners in mission, the Young Southeast Asian Leaders Initiative, the U.S. Embassy in the Philippines, the U.S. State Department, Upstream Media, and all our summit speakers for making the Sparkability Virtual Summit possible. I wish everyone all the best in their entrepreneurial journey and know that the Spark Project is here to support you. This is only the beginning. Do expect that we will be creating more content in our different platforms to help creative conscious entrepreneurs like you survive and thrive. So stay tuned. So with that, until then, stay safe everyone and COVID free and keep sparking. Bye.